Here we go. Hello, everyone. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all you wonderful students who have joined me in today's session. We're going to be starting and discussing on a very new topic that is related to the methods of teaching reading and writing. Okay, this is something that we use it in our classes, and this is the chapter that which was awaited for a very long period of time. Right? So we have learned over a period of time about Dr. Maria Montessori. We have learned about the different techniques. We learned about the methodologies, the principles, the exercises of practical life, the sensory education, how well that we could work on Montessori school administration. And recently we also saw a chapter on early childhood education, which was related to development and the language skills. And today's lesson, or the new chapter, which is going to be your chapter 8 in most of your books, that's going to be a chapter which is named as Methods of Teaching, Writing, and Reading. Okay, here we go. We all know that writing is very, very important. And Dr. Maria Montessori also said that you got to give more objects much before the children would even start writing. Right? So we need to work on the fine motor development and give a lot of activities for their children to work on their muscular memory. Okay, so you can look into your books a little later, but we're just going to do an introductory part. We understand about the importance of writing right now. So what's very important to all of us when we talk about the language skills, when we talk about the writing skills, is that writing is not an art. People consider writing as an art, but it is not to be something which is monotonous. So children should never feel difficult in writing. How many of you all feel that children find it very difficult when it comes down to writing? The moment the teacher says that, we have a writing period now, children might not look so joyous, isn't it? Why do you think so? Why do you think so? It's difficult for them to hold the pencil. Maybe their muscle strengths are a little weaker. Maybe the child does not know the directional writing, how to write, how much of pressure that they need to be put in. That means there is a problem of we not being introducing the children the techniques, how to hold, how to write. And what if the children know all these techniques, but still if I go and give a topic for an M2 or an M3 student, write something on this, will they be able to write? How many of you in your class are confident to write something? In case if I tell write about your birthday, are children going to write something on their birthday? Or write a message to your mother? They might find it difficult. Why? Because their oral skills are not that very good. If the oral skills are not good, they find it difficult to write. Why? Because we fall short of words. So that's the reason that you need to communicate with the child really very well. Small sentences, frequent repetitive sentences, similar sentences on every topic. Then what happens? The child's memory would be improvising a lot more because the child is able to hear the same words in the similar sentences. Correct? Now, what we can always look in and say is from now on, writing is the very important tool for us. We have understood that and we said, yes, I definitely need to have the skill of writing. Once I have this particular skill, should I be mandating the children to work on this? No, it has to be expressive. So what am I going to do? Now, if I say, how was your day today? How was your day today? Everybody write. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Just write, how was your day today? Express. How was your day today? 1 minute, your time starts now. Now, can somebody read and tell me how was your day? Who would like to read what you have written? How was your day? Revati, would you like to start? I know it's a happy morning for you.
Yes, ma'am, it was joyful and fabulous because because I was in a vacation and it is fabulous with enjoying with my kids.
Okay, so there is enjoyment because she's there with her family and it's a joyful location. So I think we have encountered many positive and very cheerful kind of an adjectives over here, right? So her day started really good, and that's how it's going on. Lovely. Can somebody tell me how was your day today? Yes, Shobha, how was your day? How was your day? Hmm? I'm noting everybody. Shobha, unmute, please. Unmute. Shanta,
Yes, ma'am. Today my
how
day
was your
is
day?
my day is very joyful. I am very happy to teach my children. They are also very happy today.
Okay, so it is children. Okay, the plural form of a child is children. You can't say children's.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm very happy to teach the children of my class. But here,
Okay.
what we actually look forward is like, the correct pronunciation and at the same time, the rightful uses. Okay. So, why I gave you this exercise is whenever there is something that we need to communicate with others, we always fall short of the words. Now, suppose in case if I ask a child to talk about it, how will the child speak? For an instance, I'll give you, I had a child and I just asked the child, how did you come? How did you come? Okay, this was just very, very simple statement that I asked the child, how did you come? Now, what do you think that the child will have to answer? How did you come?
With my papa.
With my dad. Okay.
In bus.
Bus.
I came by
Okay.
bus. Okay.
Car.
I came by car.
Came to
Pardon?
I came to motorcycle.
I came on a motorcycle. Yes. So these are the ones that we generally expect. Now, typically, what kind of an answer that in case if I ask a child and if you just think that this child has spoken to me in this way, just let me know. Okay. I got up. How did you come? Was the question. How did you come? My mom, my sister, my dad, we all got dressed. We got into the car. My mom had to choose the front seat. I and my sister, we had to sit behind. Then we had to put our seat belts. Then we were all ready to travel. We all sat in the car. We took a jolly ride. Now we came over here. What do you think? The description? It was the entire sequence of how did you come? Now just see, the child was so joyful to describe the entire situation. Now, when can a child speak in this way? Only when you're trying to converse the child with these kind of conversational statements. When you give them situations, when you put them onto these kinds of expressive languages, the child will definitely have. This is what even the author says. The author says, suppose if a child does not know what to talk, as a parent, as a teacher, you cannot expect. Now, how many of you all know Telugu? Most of us, or some of us. How many of you all know Bengali? Very less. Very less number of you. Now, what if I ask you to talk in Bengali? Or what if I ask you to talk in French? What if I ask you to talk in Chinese or Japanese? What would happen? Would you be able to converse and talk with me?
No, ma'am.
It's kind of difficult for all of us. The
Yes.
same thing happens to the child also because a child does not know the language that he or she is being talking. Just can you just give me a moment, please? Excuse me for that. Yes. So this is what we actually do. Now, suppose a child does not know the language. What do we generally do? We teach the child the letters. We do that. We teach the letters to the child. Now, say, suppose English. The child does not know the language. What do? You first teach the letters to the child. Now, in case if I'm teaching Kannada to the child, maybe I teach the letters of Kannada alphabet set. If I want to teach Hindi, I would be able to work on that. Now what you do, once the identification is done, you ask the child to do a copywriting. They have to write many times. Then is what you would introduce how to pronounce. The pronunciation is important of those letters. Once the child knows the letter by identification, once the letter is being identified and the child has developed the habit of copying it, writing it multiple number of times, and the child is able to do that, and then you teach them the pronunciation of that particular letter, it becomes easy for a child to start blending. Once they blend, they know to make words. Once they know to make words, they make sentences. Once all the sentences are there, it gets back onto their memory. So what we need to do as teachers is you got to give lots and lots of exercises which requires the greatest facility. This is what your author also talks about in your book also. That means it is a mechanical art. This is what he's trying to say. The children have begun to write in a very artistic way. The child did not know what was the meaning. The child did not know, but the child started to write. Okay, but in case if the child does not know the meaning of what he or she is writing, it's very difficult for him to express his feelings. It's very difficult for a child to express his emotions. This is very, very important. That means there is a disconnect between what he is feeling and there is a disconnect between what he is writing. Then it becomes not a good way. Correct? This is where, as teachers, we always observe in our classes, some children are careless when they are writing because they don't know. They don't have that importance of why it is so important. Be it whatever is the activity, you have to make sure that the child does it in a perfect way. For example, what do I mean by perfect way? If there is a letter which needs to be written in a particular way, it needs to be written in a particular way. That means I'm working here on directions. The child will have to do this way itself. Why do we do that? So that the writing speed gets improvised and the child will be able to write it in a good way. So there are reasons why we give the directional writing. Now, if I have a 4-line writing, I also give them the positions of where the letter touches and where the letter ends, right? So we definitely have rules of how do we write letters also. When the child understands this perfection of writing, it becomes easy for you to move from stage to stage. Their handwriting becomes much clear. Their writing becomes much legible. And the child is very clear of why is he doing these exercises. So that means, do we give the first step towards self-expression? They know why they are writing. If the teacher says, children, your hands on the book, eyes on the board, or you can say that, look onto the board and then start copying it down, the child should have that. When they're around 4 years, you need to work on copy control. The teacher writes anything on the board, the child should be able to see, connect, and copy that into the notebook. When the mother is writing something on the page, the child should be able to see how is her hand moving. These are very careful observations when it comes down to writing. If the child is not able to do that, definitely we need to work more on hand and eye coordination. Okay, these are certain things which is very important much before we even give them practices for writing. Now, what else that we can actually work on? See, we need to work on certain important things like, not only these, if the child, if you want to improvise their writing ability, as I mentioned, vocabulary is important, right? So we need to work on that. So for this, we don't have to give only the topics of your classes. Now, as a teacher, what you can start doing is you can journal something. Say this journal has to be interactive. What I can do is like, children, how are you feeling today? We went for the gymnasium class. How are you feeling? Ma'am, we're feeling so happy. You can link it to a visual cue code over there. The child was very happy because you went for the gymnasium. And some children might say, Ma'am, I was very tired. You made me work out so much. One of the child was very tired. One child might say, Ma'am, I had to use the restroom so many times because I drank so much of water. It was really exhausting for me. Now take a look here. It was a single question that I actually asked, and the teacher started to write down everything. Now, what do we think over here? We are encouraging the child to express what? What's there in their mind. We're asking them to express their thoughts. And then you can start discussing on it. You can say that, yes, you're becoming very tired. Maybe you are not being so hydrated. Maybe you did not have a healthy meal in the morning. So you all know that you have a session on Tuesday morning, so you can have something healthy and calm. Okay, keep a water bottle with you and come. Anytime that you feel a little tired, you can always work on that. So when you start discussing on the post effects of these exercises, when the teacher starts to share the insights of what it is, it becomes the power of writing. You have to write down. Now it is for whose well-being? Your well-being. As a teacher, your personality is improvising because you are trying to involve the children into many things. Your job is not only to teach them the games, your job is also making sure that the child is able to talk to you. No child should feel scared to come to you, to express what they are actually feeling. This is something which is very important for you as a teacher for your professional development. You need to be strict, you need to be firm, but at the same time, you need to have a very good personal and professional development. Now, once the journaling is all done, you can start working on story building. Okay, so maybe like each of you can give a sentence and we can make a story, and we all will be the author of our today's class. Now, maybe in case if I would like to start with Deepti. Deepti, can you start with one storyline? One storyline. Okay, how do you start a story? Start with one sentence and we will continue further.
Okay. As this is a winter season, it is very cold.
Okay, yeah.
Cold weather.
Okay, it is okay. I'll put it. It is winter season and is very cold. Can somebody continue? Revati, can you continue the next statement, please, for me? Continue from the same.
I thought to purchase mufflers and sweaters.
Okay, I thought to purchase mufflers and sweaters. Okay. Swati?
Preparing for Christmas.
No, I thought to purchase muffler and sweater. Continue from there, the story.
Then going to market and
I went to the market. Okay. Neha?
Then I remember it's a Christmas time, so we should.
Continue. Yeah.
So then I remember it's a Christmas time. Then we should shop for the Christmas decor also.
Okay. So Christmas time and decor also. Okay, I'm writing short. Okay. So not a proper sentence, but thank you. Madhuri, from there. Continue. You don't have to think. You have to be really quick. Spontaneous thoughts. If you're wasting time, I'll move on to the next candidate, next student. Okay. Yes, Shashita. After Shashita, Siri.
Then we decided to purchase for the family Christmas celebration.
No, continue from there. I remember it's Christmas time, so I wanted to purchase the decoration also. Link.
But suddenly remember many more is in our cupboard.
So, okay. But remember, she has many props in the cupboard as well. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you, dear. Yes, Shashita, you want to wind up with that? She already has decor in her cupboard. So what next? Be spontaneous. Whatever comes to your mind.
Want to buy what we need, other decoration items.
So you decided to
Planning
what
to
is
buy
required,
other
only that
decoration.
you buy. Okay. So see, why I'm giving you this is like, when we have these exercises, you can't think. And at the same time, you have to make sure to add words. When you as teachers start to think, and when you don't have the right words to put in, it becomes very difficult for the student also. Right? It is winter season and it was very cold. As soon as you link with the keywords, who's the next person? It's Deepti. If Deepti started with it's winter season and it is very cold. Now, in case if I ask Sonali, Sonali should say, okay, then I put on a sweater and I put on a muffler. Sweater and a muffler. As soon as I put on the sweater, it was so warm for me. Maybe you can get on to that. Okay, and then you started to work outside, then you went to the market, or you did not have a sweater, you went, you purchased a nice one at Christmas time, so you wanted to also buy the decor and all of that. But the sentence formations is very important, and you need to look into the keywords rightly. So what happened over here is like we started to build a story, and each one of us could imagine that. How many of you all imagined going to a market? How many of you all imagined it's very cold? How many of you all remembered the sweater that you have? The muffler, in case if you don't have, you're like, okay, let me see if I have it. Then the moment Christmas came, how many of you all remembered the Christmas tree or the red color came into your mind? Many of us? All of us? Christmas decoration, maybe the bells, maybe the joysticks.
Some
You
Christmas
all remembered
came to
stockings, right? We all
Yeah.
remembered. Out of nowhere, we went into Christmas. Correct? We went into market. We got into the shopping zone. How many of you literally thought I have to buy for Christmas? Come on, be honest. I have to shop. Two of you, three of you. See, it comes just like that. So this is called collaborative story building. So each of you as participants, you contributed a sentence. When I put it towards as a paragraph, the story was getting passed on to another person. So now if I ask you, okay, write something, you have so many words. Now if I ask you to write on the same thing what we discussed, maybe you will add a little bit more. I wanted to see this, I saw a Christmas tree, then I saw this and I saw that. All of that is collaborative building. Now say for example, now if I give you a timer and if I ask you, if I put you on time, that write in 2 minutes about the same topic. Every time that I'm putting you on time, and that too giving a specific topic, everybody will be under fix, isn't it? It'll be like you'll take half a minute to think what to write. Another half a minute, like, choosing the right sentences. So what happened there? Your ability to organize your thoughts quickly was not there. When I asked you to give me a sentence so quickly, Shashita, now you're able to get me. You did not have the ability to even quickly tell some sentence on that sentence. Where was that? Why did we lag here? We fall short of expressing our ideas. We fall short of expressing our thoughts. This is very, very difficult with children also. So anytime that we give a lot of activities on collaborative story building, it automatically helps me to write. It automatically helps me to write better, think better, express better. And the child, even if I ask them, write on your birthday, the child will imagine a birthday. I invited my friends, all my friends came, then we got a big cake, and it was pink in color. My friends and I, we blew out the candles, we cut the cake, and then we had that delicious cake. They can actually start writing about it also. So what happened there? Children got the ability to organize their thoughts so quickly, so effectively, so efficiently. That shows the importance of communication. That shows the importance. Now, when I ask you to write, okay, now when I create such a supportive environment with all of you teachers, and if I ask you to take turns by giving you a challenge, then I tell you, okay, if you complete this on time, I'm going to reward you. Now, what do you think that the children will do? They would take up that, right? So maybe a small candy, a 2 rupees candy, I can keep it, or I can keep an eraser, any kind of a reward and recognition for my students. And I would listen to each one of them, and I'll tell them whoever was the best sentence, I'm going to reward them. And then they will be so curious. And the same thing can happen in a reflective writing circle also. When I have a little older children who are able to communicate everything to writing, when I ask them or give them a challenge to write in their classes, they also start writing. So this is what we do in our classes. So there has to be some kind of challenges that you give it in your classes, and you journal each of that. As a teacher, you need to start journaling. Today in my class, I was working with my children to promote the value of writing, so that I understand as a teacher how much my children understand the concept of communicating through writing. I gave them a topic. The topic for today was a story time, or a topic for today was Christmas. And these are the lines that my students contributed. When a teacher writes this, what happens? You will know what you have done it for today. Maybe the next year you would have forgotten such an activity also. You might not have time to do that. So when you turn back your pages, you will remember how many activities you have done. And when you share that with your colleague every time, hey, I did this in my class, what do you think that they would do? They would express appreciation. They would like the insight of you sharing some knowledgeable tips with them. Because these activities not only encourage children, but at the same time, it reinforces them the importance of written communication, the positive atmosphere amongst the classes, right? So, what you can do, you can have a small storyboard in your classes. Anytime that you have something, you can actually put up a visual representation. It's story time. And we're going to write. And today's story, the teacher can quickly take a paper and she can write and pin it on the board. This was the story, children, that we did. And before the children go, also, we can say that, our entire class was writing a story. It was on the winter season, it was very cold. So she went to the market, she bought in a muffler and a sweater. Okay. And just imagine the market. The child goes back with the same visual memory. The child goes back home, they might also start narrating the same thing. Tomorrow you can come back and you can recite a poem. You don't do the story now, but you're going to do a poem on that. Right? So what happens there? Versatility. Story, then poems. So that means writing is not all about the speech. The writing can also be in terms of poetry. So you as a teacher, you have to also appreciate the versatility and give opportunities and teach children using different strategies. Okay, use different techniques. All of that is very important. Now, as a teacher, now I'm going to give you a topic. Let's see how many of you all can write in 2 minutes your life as a kindergarten teacher. Write and share. Click a picture, put it into the WhatsApp group right away. The topic for you to do that is a day, your day as a kindergarten teacher, which I started at the beginning. Your day today as a, now you're not a parent, you're not a student, you are a teacher. So what's our time frame? 2 minutes. Talk a little bit more on all of that. Okay, so when we work on this self-expression, and when you are able to say a good thing about how was your day today as a kindergarten teacher, just like how I narrated just now, you will be able to work on it. So what we work here is like, when you are consistently working on writing, your expressions becomes too spontaneous. Okay, so you will be able to write even more better. Your attention span becomes much better. You will not get distracted by anybody. Now, what about mechanically? Your hand will keep writing, right? So that's the process of self-expression. When you're in a joyful mood, your writing will be beautiful. And when you're a little sad, upset, your writing might not be that very good. Okay, so always be conscious of your words. Always be conscious of your words, because words once spoken, written, and shared with others can't be taken back. So you have to always be conscious. Okay, so this is what which we have to be working on it. Okay, Dr. Montessori also says that, great stress on expressive aspect of writing is very important for me. But children will definitely have difficulties when it comes down to writing, but we have to overcome that. So for that, we discover helping the child to understand the letter name, the sound of the letter, blending techniques, making them into words, putting them onto sentences, and then slowly helping them to copy them, writing them, writing the words, giving dictations. So in that is the way that you will also work on their inner impulse to express themselves. And that suddenly you will discover that the child will start having a lot of power when it comes down to writing, because he knows the tips, he knows the tips, he knows the techniques of how to write. This is what is called preliminary preparation. It is very, very important. Now, say for example, in case if the child does not know to swim, what do you do? Instead of teaching all the techniques, you will only first tell them the techniques, right? You should learn to manage your arms, you should learn to manage your legs, you also learn how to breathe, how to control your body all of the time. Correct? So you will teach one movement after the other. So even for writing, you will start with one movement, strokes, then connecting the strokes, then making a letter, then blending all of them. When you start working on all of that, the child becomes much sorry the task becomes much easier for all of you, and the entire process will also become very quick, and it will also be more pleasant. So this is what we work with our classes also. Now, to have all of that, we definitely had people who were actually working on the directions, right? So what happened here was, like, most of the children, when do they find it very difficult to write? See, when there is, you have to always estimate the distance and the direction among your muscles, where you're holding, how you're holding the pencil, and where you're keeping your book. Correct? Then is what you would look down. So when I'm looking down, my eye contact has to be with my pencil. Correct? So I should be able to look, what am I writing, where am I pointing my pencil to. So this is called hand and eye coordination. Okay, so when we have a good hand and eye coordination, it becomes easy for me to draw anything. When you don't have it, it becomes difficult to get a visual memory of what the child is writing. Okay, the child will not have that memory. If you say write A also, the child did not have it because they did not see. They were little immature in understanding the process of how to write, how to join, because they did not see. This is very, very normal. This is very normal in all the children. So that is the reason we work on the hand-eye coordination preliminary exercises at the beginning. Then is what you would teach them the other movements. Okay, so that's all there. For this, what we definitely need is something called as motor memory. Why motor memory is very important for us? Because the child should know how to write a letter. They should know how does a letter or a number actually looks like. So that's the reason we take help of sandy letters in our classes. We ask the children to trace the letters on their sandpaper, the boards. So it gives them that muscular memory kind of a thing, and the child will be able to remember it a little bit more because it's a sensory education for all of us. So this is all a proper mechanical, sorry, it's all the proper sensory exercises that we can actually work with it. So then is what you move to, why should I use the motor memory in writing? Is it very helpful for me? Can the child remember? Definitely yes. Because the more you draw, the more you write, you will remember it better. This is what it has actually been told also. Correct? So what we do over here, as say for example, if I show you a picture of a king wearing a skirt, would you remember it for a longer period of time? King might not be wearing a certain kind of a skirt, right? So definitely he would not be looking good, or maybe he's looking great in that. Correct? So we definitely remember. So that means something which is unusual, you remember it for a very longer period of time. So even for children, the letter A, which is shown for the first time, is unusual. So they remember it for a very longer period of time. So anything that is shown at the beginning is very important for a child to understand and keep moving. So these are something that we need to keep in our mind, that whatever that you show to a child for the first time makes a remarkable discovery of remembering all of that. So this is what Dr. Maria Montessori also decided to work on it. No doubt that she has worked with different psychologists, different people who work on the nervous mental development like Jean Attard and Edward Seguin and all of that. She's taken all their knowledges and she has followed that different people, and she has come down with a curriculum wherein it is going to help the children to work in a very fruitful way. It can be a simple observation, but again at the same time it is going to help our children to work a little bit more and more on all of that. Correct? So all these things were possible to all of us when it comes down to helping children to write. So what do we do here is like we gave children to work on touching the objects. The first important skill for all of us was like you have to touch any object and you have to tell me how do you feel when you touch that object. Now, say for example, if I give them a spear, the child touches the spear and he tells how was it, what was the feeling when you gently touch it, when you touch around that particular object. Now the child will start to remember because he's able to feel that object a little bit more better. So that means muscular control was very, very important. Correct? So when you have clumsy hands, when you have clumsy fingers, when you cannot be gentle, and when you are in a hurry, what happens? We might not have good muscular control. Now, I might just hold the duster. Maybe I might not remember how the duster is. Now, what if I'm taking a little advantage of just looking it for some time, observing the pattern? You're all able to get me there? Yeah? So I'm taking the duster. Can you see here? See, there are certain things over here. Instead of just looking at it, if I take a little bit more time and I start working on the observation a little bit more, my hands are not clumsy, my fingers are not clumsy. I'm giving enough time to touch every part of it, feel every part of it. What happens? I will be able to remember this for a longer period of time. Can you please give me the black duster we have, which we had that kind of a pattern? If I say, the child will be able to work on it. Why? Because we had shown them how to touch that object in a very gentle way. This is called muscular control, and it is a very important kind. That's the reason in Montessori we always tell children to use gentle hands, to be very gentle, to use fine movements. That is very required for them to attain the skill. When the child is touching all these objects, there is some kind of a sensation, right? So, sensation of touch, it gets passed on to your brain, and your brain is now remembering that object because of its position, like what was the shape of all of that. So it's going to be remembering. So that's how our sensory nerves would also start working. This is something that Dr. Maria Montessori also felt that the children of this generation is missing out. So she worked that children find it very difficult to touch objects, wait for a good amount of time, play with all of that. Then she made it mandatory to help them to be more gentle. So that's when we go a little slower. So, and then you slowly, gradually get into having moderate hand touches, and then you pick up the object just like that. So, by then, what happened? The child would have got a lot of training, and the child would have recognized the shape or the object just by the gentle touch. So, without interfering on understanding what is the object, we got into the curriculum of the shape of the object, the color of the object, right? And the different patterns of it, maybe the touch, whether it was rough or smooth, correct? Or was it very coarse? What kind of a color was that? Is it light or is it dark or is it been graded? We can always look into it. And when it comes down to shapes, we can also do an outward tracing and then we can fill in the figures, we can make patterns out of it. So that's the great advantage of this particular plan. And we can teach conceptual so quickly and easily. If you do everything in a hurry, your teaching methodology goes slow because the children's learning capability becomes slow, and it will be very painful for you. It becomes a copybook method. This is there in the book, so you do it that way. No, you have to go out of the box. You need to do and teach children whatever is required to make that rapid movements using especially the pencils and other things in your classes. That's what is important. So this is what we call intellectual element in writing. Okay, it's not only that children learn shapes and letters and alphabet and the alphabet set. No, you have to teach the techniques for children when it comes down to intellectual development or intellectual element in writing. So you can get into teaching the children the colors, that vowels are in this color, consonants are in this color. You can also talk about, A, E, I, O, U are vowels. You can separate them based upon the colors, and you can also work on that. Okay, and then you can ask children, there are certain common, the formations like zero and the letter O and the oval, they look similar in the shape. So you start connecting most of the letters, like this is zero, this is O, and this is the shape oval. They all look very similar. So you're trying to interconnect many of the things. Okay, so you can work on all of that. If a child does any mistake, don't reveal it immediately. Okay, so maybe at the end of the class, maybe like when the child is repeating that mistake one more time, you can always go back and tell to the child. Okay, so all these things will become a part of your intellectual development. And when it comes down to writing, this is what we would be able to see. Okay, so I stop our today's class over here. In tomorrow's session, we're going to be, in the Thursday sessions, we're going to be working on what are the techniques and how do we take this intellectual writing into further. And in case if you're working on the reading aspect, what do we generally work on it? And there are different perspectives of people. Okay, now different perspectives, when I say, it's all about when you're using your language and other things, what are the copy control modes that you're going to be working? So these would be covered in our tomorrow's session. Okay, so that's it for today. So I'll wind up our session for today and I'll see you on Thursday. Okay, so take care, everyone. Have a great evening, morning, and an afternoon. We'll see you all the afternoon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ma'am. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.